What's up? It's your boy, I Know Mercy, the Mad Hatter, here again with an actual fucking review this time. I just got back from seeing Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and oh my god, was it so good. If you hear cheering in the background, that's my sister and her wife. They're watching football. They're really big into sports and shit. But it's uh, I don't know what to say about this. It's just so damn good. I mean, I want to say it's as good as the original, but eh, like it's good. Don't get me wrong. I really did like it, and um, but thinking about it thinking about it critically, I'd say it's better than the first original. The first original, honestly, it had its pacing issues. The dialogue wasn't all that great. I mean, it's still a classic, but like you can tell that it's. I think it was Lucas's first major film, and it kind of shows. Um, the next two really were what made Star Wars as great as it, like, it was still great when it first came out, the first one, but I think the two that followed really cemented Star Wars a a big thing, and I'd say it's better than the first. I'd say it's better than A New Hope, but not as good as Empire. But on to the first of all, massive spoilers. I'm spoiling the entire fucking movie, so bear that in mind. Okay, so the movie is, it really is great. Like, it starts out. Uh, I guess I should say this first. I say it's better than New Hope, but let's be honest. If you've actually seen Force Awakens, you know it's basically a New Hope 2.0, because essentially it hits all the same story beats, like almost verbatim. I mean, well, really think about it for a second. If you talk about each movie objectively, just talking about a point by point basis, it's a rebel faction being oppressed by a rebel faction being oppressed by a power seeking regime. A single rebel finds a valuable piece of information that the Empire needs and tries to hide it away. They store it inside of a droid that they let loose while they themselves get captured. The droid holding this valuable information is found by a lone young person on a desert planet. Um, they take care of this droid and then figure out, oh, it has something valuable inside of it. They're helped by a roguish character, although Finn is not exactly roguish. He started off as a bad guy, but then became a good guy, but he's... Eh. Um, are eventually helped out by an old war veteran in getting the valuable information to the rebel cause. There's a huge space battle, and then the evil empire's ultimate weapon blows up. Like, that's what happens in A New Hope, and that's what happens in Force Awakens, basically. I mean, the actual sequence of events is a bit different. It has different characters and locations, and the actual events happening around these different story points are different, but, like, it's basically a New Hope again. Like, enough is different that I really don't think too many people are really gonna notice, but if you actually stop and look at it objectively, it's basically A New Hope all over again. That's not exactly in its... That's not exactly a strike against it. It's just something to keep in mind. I don't think this new trilogy is gonna be, too creative. I just feel like it would have been better if they tried treading some new ground. Like I get Abrams is probably a really big Star Wars fan, and he wanted to make something similar to the original trilogy. But honestly, if the prequels did one thing right, it gave us a new story. it was a horrible story, but it was a new one at least, you know? This one, it really does seem like it's just kind of treading the same ground. At least the first one did. I really don't. At least the first one did, and considering how it ended, I have a feeling it's gonna be kind of similar to. I have a feeling that the eighth movie is gonna be really similar to Empire, but we'll find out that out when it actually comes out. So, okay. So on to the plot. What the fuck actually happened? Well, I basically just gave you the basic setup of the story, but what actually happened? So, this guy, Poe, come down to Juka, I think it's called? I don't know. This desert planet that's not Tatooine, and he's talking to some old dude who has information on trying to find Luke Skywalker, who has disappeared for some reason. We do find out eventually, but at the beginning we don't know. We just know that Luke disappeared, Leia wants to find him, and this dude Poe find someone who knows his last location or something, or knows a map to find Luke, and then the Empire shows up. I mean, it's not the Empire. They call themselves a New Order, but it's basically the fucking Empire, and they're led by a new Sith Lord, kinda Kylo Ren. And the old dude that Poe talked to apparently knows Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren is kind of a badass. Though not really. He comes off as a badass when you first see him because he stops blaster fire in midair. Like, Poe starts firing at him and he stops the laser bolt while it's coming at him. I have never seen that before, and it was fucking awesome. While I was in the theater, I just kept thinking to myself, put him in front of the blaster, put him in front of it, and let him get shot by his own blaster. That would have been so awesome, but unfortunately it didn't happen. What is kind of cool is that he actually kept that blaster round in the air the entire time he was there, and only let it go when he left. Like, that's pretty damn cool. And we're also introduced, kind of, to one of our two protagonists. Stormtrooper, who is on his first mission and realizes he can't fucking do this. He just doesn't have it in him to actually be a Stormtrooper, and I think it's actually kind of cool that they show a little human side to the Stormtroopers. Not wholly, like, not all of them are given, like, a little more humane moments, but at least with Finn, Stormtrooper gets killed in front of him, and, like, he just kind of puts his hand over Finn's helmet and like, accidentally wipes some of his own blood on his helmet, and, like, you can tell even through the helmet, Finn is fucked up at this point. He doesn't really know what he's doing right now, and he can't really get a grasp on his feelings. And then, of course, they have the Stormtroopers kill everyone in the village that the old dude was in, and Finn can't do it. He doesn't fire along with the others, and Kylo Ren notices. And you know, Finn is fucked, because Kylo Ren notices that he didn't kill anyone. So yeah, bad things are gonna happen to him. Fortunately, Finn was apparently raised in the New Order. At some point, I'm probably just gonna start calling the Empire again, because that's, again, basically what they are. But he was raised in the New Order and knows if you don't follow orders, bad things happen to you. So he decides to break Poe out of jail, and the two of them fly off of, I think it's a Star Destroyer. I don't really remember. They fly off of whatever the fuck they were on and go back to Jakku. I swear to God I'm saying that planet's name wrong. But they go back there, and of course they're attacked and they're chased, and Poe is like the best pilot on in the Resistance, and he outmaneuvers them, and Finn is good with a blaster, and he has great aim, and he manages to take down a couple of the other TIE fighters, but they do eventually get shot down. And for a while, it looks like Poe died. Because, like, his ship crashed, and then it sunk into the sand, and then it blew up. So naturally, you're thinking Poe is dead. Finn has his jacket and goes off into try and find civilization, and then we switch over to our other protagonist, Rey, the scavenger girl from all the trailers. And that actually isn't when we switch over to Rey. We actually switch over to Rey after the initial massacre. And I think that's one thing that's really good about most Star Wars. Sometimes I think a good movie can start off with a really big action scene and then easily transition, then have a falling action from the big action scene, and then transition into something a bit more peaceful. And that's basically what this does. You have the big massacre, you have the falling out from the massacre, and then you have the introduction of Rey. And within 5 minutes of seeing Rey, I knew I was gonna like her, and I did. I really liked Rey. She's such a good character, and her deal is, it isn't like she is the Luke Skywalker of this story, but it isn't exactly the same. She isn't the daughter of just some migrant workers or something like that who are trying to survive. She's a scavenger who's actually waiting for her family to return because they left her, and she's still holding out hope that they'll come back, and they won't. We don't really know what happened to Rey's family, except that they left her on this planet, on this desolate junk heap, and she's just doing whatever she can to survive. Mostly by climbing inside of old Empire war machines, stealing shit, and selling it. Yeah, that's how she gets her food. And, her existence sucks. That's just, it does. It really sucks, but she thinks she still needs to stay here, even though consciously she thinks she needs to stay here, but subconsciously she knows she's basically just waiting in vain. And I kind of like that. She's holding out hope, even though she knows it's hopeless. And I get that. It's sad, but it's a cool thing. And then the droid that Poe had, BB-8, she finds him about to be collected by another scavenger, and I think he kind of falls in love with her. I don't know. One thing I actually kind of like about BB-8 is his pantomime is honestly a lot better than R2-D2's. I really do feel like I get a lot more character out of R2 than out of BB than R2, and even more so than C-3PO. And C-3PO could fucking talk. How much does that say about the original trilogy? But BB-8, he follows her, and he tells her about that he has this secret special mission, and everything like that. And then Finn shows up, and things go weird quickly because BB-8, of course, notices that Finn is wearing Poe's jacket and thinks that he stole it from him. And then Finn has to tell him that Poe's dead, and that depresses the little that depresses the little guy out. And then he tells Rey about how BB has the map to Luke and stored inside of him, and then the New Order shows up and tries to kill them, all three of them. Well, tries to kill Rey and Finn. Finn isn't actually his real name. His name was FN13 something. Apparently they don't give stormtroopers actual names, just designations, I guess. And Poe was actually the person that first named him Finn. And so Finn and Rey and BB, they all run away, and they start heading towards this one ship to leave the planet. But of course, the Empire, Yeah, I'm just gonna start calling you the Empire. The Empire blows it up before they can get to it, so they go to an old junker, which just happens to be the fucking the fucking Millennium Falcon, because of course it is. Um, so they they avoid the Empire, and they have this really cool looking dogfight where you really get a chance of to see how creative and sort of ingenious Rey is, and how she flies and how she figures things out. Finn is still a really good shot, and he mans the guns while Rey pilots the Millennium Falcon by herself, and is actually really good at it. And then the main gun gets fucked up, and Rey actually does this trick where she positions the Millennium Falcon in just the exact right way for Finn to get a shot in. It is a really cool shot. Just shot what he did, and shot as in what the camera is. Okay. So they get off the planet, and they get abducted by an Empire frigate. So they think they're fucked. Turns out, no, it's actually Han and Chewie. Yeah, they apparently commandeered a fucking New Order frigate and are smugglers again, because why not? I mean, Han is probably in his late 60s. Might not still be a smuggler. But, yeah, he finds a Millennium Falcon. No, he brings in the Millennium Falcon. He and Chewie are on board. And you have that scene from the trailer. Chewie, we're home. That sort of thing. And it's a really good scene because they basically find Finn and Rey almost immediately, because they're trying to rig up a way to getting whoever took them on board, take whoever took them on board out, and they're making too much noise, so of course they find them. And they talk a little bit. Finn actually pretends that he's part of the Resistance instead of a stormtrooper, because why the fuck would Rey trust him otherwise if she knew that about him? He actually convinces BB to tell Rey where the Resistance hideout is, so that they can take him there, and they can have the information that BB has, and then Rey can go back to her home planet, and Finn can get the fuck out of there because he doesn't want to go back to the New Order. And then Han and Chewie show up, and they agree to take them the rest of the way. And then the guys who actually hired Han to smuggle these giant monster things, I don't know, come on board and try to kill them, because Han is Han, and he kind of screwed both of them over. Two groups showed up and all tried to kill them. And of course take BB, because at this point the New Republic probably has a huge bounty on BB, and anyone who is not a reputable citizen of the galaxy, I guess, is trying to find him. But they escape. Everyone manages to get on the Millennium Falcon and fly off. And then they go to not Mos Eisley. I say that this is basically a New Hope 2.0, and they have a Mos Eisley. Except it's not Mos Eisley, because A, it's on a planet that's mostly green, and B, it's just the cantina. It's basically just the cantina scene, except without the two dudes who want to mug Luke. But it's basically that. There's this one alien who is who's really close friends with Han, and has a thing for Chewie, which I think is kind of funny. And she agrees to help them out and get them to where they need to go. But she also tells Finn that She also points out two smugglers to Finn who can take him to the to the galaxy's outer rim, where it's less likely that the New Order will find him again. And this is kind of where you see Finn's a good guy, but he knows enough about the New Order to know not to fucking fight them. So, like, he's kind of selfish in that he doesn't want to risk his own ass for a war he's convinced they can't win. So he just wants to get as far away from it as possible. It's understandable, and this is, I think, is why he's the Han of this trilogy. And he does. He's about to leave, and then Rey starts hearing. They kind of split up, and Rey starts hearing voices coming from a room in the basement of this place, and she finds Luke's lightsaber, and she goes to touch it, but then has this weird fucking force fever vision or some shit like that. Like, she sees a bunch of different shit, like Luke on some sort of volcanic area with C-3PO, but he has a hood up and you can't really see his face. And then she sees herself as a child and her parents flying off, and you see Kylo Ren sort of fall from the dark side, kind of fall to the dark side. Not completely, but you see enough of it. You see him killing people and probably like other apprentices and shit. And you actually do learn a little bit about Kylo Ren up until this point. And up until this point, he's still very much badass, and like he has these weird, random temper tantrums where he would just destroy everything around him, and like that brings his badass down a little bit, because it really does seem like temper tantrums. It seems like he's petulant, and you do see his master, his Sith Lord, and you find out why he doesn't have the title Darth in his name, because he isn't a Sith Lord yet. He's still an apprentice. And this is another thing that I think is too much like the original trilogy, is that Kylo Ren is the bad guy of this movie, but he isn't the main badass of the whole story. You basically have another Darth Sidious. I actually forget what they call this Sith Lord. It does begin with an S. Sigarax, Sardax. Fuck, I don't remember. They said it a couple times, but for some reason it just didn't stick with me. I don't know. But they do. But Kylo Ren and this New Order general or commander or something like that, they talk to Darth what's his face, and he gives them orders and shit, and it's clear that the commander actually has more power and more authority than Kylo Ren, and he's kind of in he's in the main guy's better graces, I guess. And when Rey touches the lightsaber, it completely freaks her out, and the little alien chick that they went to see, she actually comes in and talks to Rey a little bit and tells her that she's strong with the Force, and she herself isn't a Jedi, but she has enough she's Force sensitive enough to know that Rey could be a Jedi. Like, she says that the lightsaber belonged to Luke and belonged to Vader, and it was calling out to her, and makes the assumption that Rey is its next rightful owner, and because apparently lightsabers are now like wands in Harry Potter and have a semi-consciousness of their own and can call their own masters. Sure, why not? Sure, okay. Rey's freaked out. She doesn't really want to admit that her parents are coming because this is a scene where you also find out that subconsciously Rey knows her parents aren't coming. They're either dead or just abandoned her, and she's not exactly ready to face that or this big responsibility that being a Jedi kind of entails. So she runs off. BB-8 tries to follow her, but she tells him to head back, and she just goes farther into this woodlands by herself. And then, when they first actually come into the Not Cantina, two people in particular spot them. One is a robot that alerts Resistance that they have BB-8, and the other is an alien woman who calls the New Order that they have BB-8. So they both show up. Apparently, the New Order actually apparently had a head start on them because they already knew that Finn and Rey and BB existed, so they were already kind of tracking them, and this tip just kind of pointed them in the right direction, made them go faster. So they show up first, blow up the Not Cantina, kill a lot of people, and the alien chick that Han and came to see gives Finn the lightsaber because Rey's not here, she can't use it. So she just figured, make sure Rey can get to it, and he uses the lightsaber for a while, and he's okay with it, but he's clearly not a Jedi. He actually does fight a stormtrooper in it and gets his ass pretty soundly kicked. Well, I can't say that. He held his own, but he did eventually lose. Han and Chewie had to save his ass, and then they got kidnapped, and then they got captured by a bunch of other stormtroopers because they were pretty much the only ones standing at that point. Oh, fuck, what else happened? Okay, so Kylo Ren actually does catch up with Rey and threatens her, and he reads her mind, and he can tell that she's seen the map that BB has. And so they figured, you know what, we don't need BB. You don't need the little droid. We can just take this chick, and I can literally rip the information out of her head. And at this point, Kylo Ren is still in badass status. That will very quickly drop, actually. You also, is this when you find out? I don't remember. I'll get to it. And then the Resistance shows up and saves everyone's ass. And here's when you find out that Poe somehow fucking survived. Apparently when the TIE fighter that Finn and Poe escaped and crashed, both of them got thrown the fuck out of the cockpit and wound up in different places. And the ship was empty when it got swallowed up by the sand and it exploded. I want to call this it's an ass pull. I honestly can't call it anything other than it's a complete ass pull. I'm okay with it because Poe's actually a pretty good character. He's really snarky and shit. He was basically talking shit to Kylo Ren even as he was torturing him, and he did manage to resist torture and hold on to the information that he put the map to Luke inside of BB-8 until Kylo Ren showed up and mind raped him, because that's what Sith do. And he shows up, he saves Finn's ass, and it's a good scene because now Poe's back and everything's gonna be good again. Oh fuck, right, forgot about one other little thing. There's a new Death Star that's at least 3 times as big as the old Death Star because it's a fucking planet. Somehow, this new empire built a fucking planet Death Star, and they named it Starkiller. Because, of course they did. Uh, and it's actually not just a name for the sake of being a name, because that was Luke's original last name, and of course Galen Merrick, Star Killer. It actually absorbs stars to power its giant gun. And it isn't just one giant gun, it's at least 5. Because they blow up 5 planets with one shot. It's a really cool scene. You know, except for the whole billions of people dying, hundreds of billions, trillions actually, probably. Trillions of people dying all at one time. It's actually kind of fucked up, but, you know. They actually did plan to just, because the Resistance was being backed by the New Republic, they decided, fuck it, we're just gonna destroy the New Republic. So, yeah, the New Republic's all dead. That's kind of depressing. And then they go down and nuke, and they go down and nuke, not Mos Eisley. And, yeah, they have Rey, and she's kidnapped. And Kylo Ren's about to mind rape her. Except he can't. Because she's a fucking Jedi too. And is, like I said, really in tune with the Force. So she's actually able to get inside his head a little bit and figure out that he's afraid of something. Not being as good as Darth fucking Vader. And around this time you do realize that Kylo Ren is Han and Leia's son. Yup. Han and Leia had a son. He was being trained to be a Jedi, and he went dark side. Because it's kind of fucked up, but you know, it's actually kind of good that they have this kind of emotional bond in it, because now Luke is basically going to be training his new student to kill his nephew. That's got to be fucked up. Or maybe not kill. Maybe, I don't know. But they are going to have to, like something's gonna have to be done with Kylo Ren. He's gonna have to be taken down. Maybe he can be saved. Like you wouldn't think that Vader would be able to be saved, but you know he did in the end. He actually Kylo Ren actually has Vader's helmet. Like I don't know how the hell he got that, but he actually had Vader's helmet in his room, and he talks to it, and he calls it grandfather and shit like that, and says he wants to continue the work he started, probably not realizing that Vader switched sides at the absolute last fucking moment in order to save Luke, but whatever. Like either he doesn't know that, or Darth What's-His-Face didn't tell him and lied to him and said that Luke just straight up murdered Vader. Like I'd imagine that's what happened. Darth douchebag tells Kylo Ren that Luke killed his father. Yeah, he was like one of the best Sith Lords fucking ever, and Luke just straight up murdered his ass. Your family are assholes. You should turn against them and join me. You know, it's that sort of thing. Like lying in order to get whatever you want. It's a Sith thing. So, Kylo Ren has Rey, but she's protected at least for the moment because because he wasn't really prepared for her. One thing I do think is kind of cool is that he does take off the mask and show that he's just like a normal looking dude. You know, he isn't like a lot of Sith where he's all gaunt and he's kind of fucked up face. I'm pretty sure it's because he's only, well, not recently, but like he hasn't immersed himself into the dark side enough for any of that evil what the fuck ever to corrupt him in any real way. So he still looks fairly normal. And this is when Kylo Ren's badass status kind of gets a massive drop kick to the nuts. Like once Rey does get the upper hand on him a fair bit, and the image you have of him up until that point really does start to crumble. And it is clear that there's a reason why he hasn't been given the title Darth yet. He is still just a student. He's still struggling with being. He's still struggling between the light and dark sides, and you do see this sort of internal struggle with him, and the dark side is winning, but there is light kind of worming its way into him, and it's kind of making him not as awesome as he wants to be. Because, like Ray said, he's afraid of not being as powerful as Darth Vader, which is his ultimate dream. And the commander dude, he comes in and basically says Kylo Ren fucked up, you know. So yeah, let's just find the rebels and just kill them all, you know, that sort of thing. And they do, and they start absorbing another sun to, the Starkill absorbs suns, and that's how they power the giant gun. And I think I already mentioned that, but I don't remember. Anyway, so they're absorbing another sun, sorry, in order to fire the big gun again. And on not Mos Eisley, the rebels do show up, and Leia shows up. Leia shows up, and so does C-3PO, who completely fucking kills a moment between her and Han. Because I'm pretty sure they were married at some point, but they don't really say it, but it's not really important if they are. They were together, and they obviously had a kid. And he does mention seeing Kylo Ren walk off with Rey, and they're both really upset because, you know, their son's a fucking Sith now, and that's gotta be fucked up for both of them. And I will say I really like how Han was handled in this. Like, it would have been really easy to just make an old Han. You know, like, he's exactly like how he was in the first 3 movies, except he's in his late 60s now. But no, you do see that he has matured. Like, he's still Han Solo. Like, certain things about a person are never going to change. He's still Han Solo, but he's a Han Solo who's experienced over 30 years of shit, you know? Like, he's, I don't want to say jaded, but I guess more world-weary would be a better choice of words here. He's seen so much shit. Like in the first movie, he didn't believe in the Force at all. Like, he thought it was just some crazy mythology and shit like that. But now he believes wholeheartedly in the Force. Like, he knows this shit is real, you know? And he even tells Finn and Rey that. And part of me actually kind of wanted this. Part of me wanted a line where he told Finn and Rey, when they told him that they had a map to find Luke. Part of me honestly wanted him to say, "Leave him alone," you know, like he didn't Luke didn't tell anyone where he was going, and he didn't tell Han either. But he didn't tell anyone where he was going, but he told Han that he was leaving. And Han just kind of accepted it and was like, let him go, you know, like just forget it, let him go. I guess they figured, yeah, you kind of gotta find Luke, and I did want him to just accept that Luke is in exile and, you know, wish his friend whatever kind of peace of mind he thinks he'll get from it. And that would have actually helped with the fact that Luke did train Kylo Ren before he fell to the dark side. He was training Kylo Ren and a bunch of other young Jedi, and Kylo Ren was seduced by Darth Asshole and went dark side and killed all the other apprentices. And Luke feels personally responsible for that. I guess he thinks in his mind, if I was a better teacher or if I was a better uncle or whatever, maybe Kylo Ren wouldn't have become Kylo Ren, and maybe I could have saved my nephew. And if I can't even save my fucking nephew, how can I be of use to anyone else? And so that's where he going into exile comes from. So they have Luke and Leia have a little scene, and then they go into the Resistance rebel grounds and headquarters or whatever, and Finn and Poe finally reunite, and it's all happy and shit, and everyone's good. And then they sort of go over the battle plans, and they're telling him, and Finn, of course, was a stormtrooper, so he knows about the giant fucking Starkiller planet, and he gives them valuable information on how they can shut it down and stop the giant fuck you gun. And he kind of lies in saying that he knows how to get the planetary shield down so that the X-Wings can come in and do what they do. Because when he was stationed on the Starkiller planet, he was basically working in he was a garbage man. That's where he was. That's where he worked before he was a stormtrooper, and he tells Han that after they've already landed on the fucking planet. So they're going, and he obviously he just lied because he wanted to find Rey. And yeah, Rey and Finn are kind of a thing. Finn is actually a really funny character. I really like Finn as a character. Yeah, a lot of his dialogue is sort of panicky, and it does kind of play into the stereotype of the black guy who acts tough but is actually kind of a coward. But I think it works here because he's a good man who thinks he needs to be selfish in order to survive, and is going up against a threat that he knows for a fact he can't stand up against. So him acting like a coward does make sense. Like, when you go up against someone you are convinced you cannot fight, like, how many of us are actually going to act genuinely brave unless we absolutely have to, But I think he does. He has his little moment of validation when they capture a stormtrooper general or commander or something. I don't know, some chick that has a high ranking in the New Order. I think she is a general or a stormtrooper general or something like that. They do manage to capture her and convince her to lower the shield wall so that the X-Wings can destroy the generator or power regulator or whatever it is that's enabling the Starkiller planet to hold the energy of the sun. And then they throw in a garbage compactor because of reference to the first movie. So they kind of, they don't separate. Well, they kind of separate. They go off to find Rey, but Rey is she's getting more in touch with her powers, her connections to the Force, and actually does the Jedi mind trick on a stormtrooper to get him to let her go, which was actually a really great scene. And then Kylo Ren shows up and throws another tantrum. And while he's destroying the room that Rey was in, you actually see two stormtroopers walking up to it, noticing that Kylo Ren's going nuts, and they just walk the other fucking way. It was, and then they come across Rey making her own escape while Han, Finn, and Chewie find Rey making her own escape while they're going to rescue her, and they meet up again, and Rey and Finn find a way to get Han and Chewie into the main whatever it is that will allow them to fuck up the planet, the sun killer gun, whatever it is, and they plant a bunch of bombs on these giant pillars that hold the place up, and I don't know. But then Kylo Ren shows up because he sent his own father. And here you find out that Kylo Ren's real name is Ben. Because of course it is. Well, I like it. We don't know if Luke had any children. I don't think he did. So Han and Leia named their son Ben. It's nice. And Han and Kylo Ren have this really intense moment, and Han is just begging his son to come back to them and reject the dark side and all that, and Chewie and a couple of stormtroopers and eventually Finn and Rey are watching them, and they're all just trying to figure out what's gonna happen. And then Kylo Ren is actually asking him to. He's telling Han that he's really conflicted and he doesn't know what to do, and he's not sure which way to go. And he asks Han to help him. What he thinks is going to be a really difficult thing. And what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. You don't want it to happen, but you know what's going to happen. Kylo Ren activates his lightsaber and stabs Han. So, yeah, Han died. Just like Obi-Wan died. Seriously, the parallels, it's damn near exact. So yeah, Han's dead. That's depressing. And what I actually do like is that they flash to Leia at the Resistance headquarters, and she's devastated. Like, I don't think Leia was ever trained to be a Jedi, but she is Force sensitive and knows that Han is dead, and probably knows that Ben's the one that killed him. So she's fucked up for it. So she's fucked up for the moment. And she also knows that a giant fuck-off laser cannon is gonna kill them all in less than 3 minutes. In less than 5 minutes. But they all escape. Chewie blows up at least one of the pillars and creates this giant fucking gaping hole. That the TIE fighters actually managed to sneak in, managed to squeeze through and destroy the regulator, which caused the entire planet to explode, just like the Death Star. I can't help it. It's damn near one-on-one. I'm just saying. But Kylo Ren does manage to escape, along with Finn and Rey, and he tracks them down to a forest that's covered in snow. Just like the first trailer when you see Kylo Ren igniting his lightsaber for the first time. That scene isn't actually in there, but it's in that area. So he stops them and he force pushes Rey into a tree, and Finn brings out the lightsaber and he's ready to fight Kylo Ren, and he does. But he just gets masked. But he just gets torn down. It is a completely one-sided fight. Finn has no chance of winning, and he loses a lightsaber, and then Kylo Ren slashes him across the back, and you think, oh my god, Finn's dead, because they always kill the black guy in these movies. And then Kylo Ren wants the lightsaber for himself because it belongs, like I said, it belonged to Luke, it belonged to Vader, so he figures it is rightfully mine. And he tries to pull the lightsaber out of the snow where it landed, but Rey manages to do it first. And then she starts fighting Kylo Ren. She manages to do better, but it's still clear that Kylo Ren he's better with the Force than she is, so he has the upper hand. And it's around this time that they actually do manage to destroy the regulator or whatever it is that powers the sun gun, and the planet's starting to fall apart, and Rey and Kylo Ren are still fighting, and it's still really cool. It is still really cool. And Kylo Ren managed to get her on the edge of a precipice that's created out when the planet starts to explode, and and Rey finally begins to accept, like Kylo Ren offers to teach her how to be a Sith, like how to become more in touch with the Force, and then Rey just kind of does it herself. She closes her eyes, focuses on the Force, and then just fucking destroys Kylo Ren. Like she completely dominates him after that. I kind of call bullshit on it, but especially considering, like, Kylo Ren was looking right at her. He had his lightsaber on hers. He could have done literally anything to stop her from getting a better connection to the Force, and he does nothing. Like, bring the lightsaber off of her and try and slice her from another way. He had her pinned down. Use your other hand to force push her into the fucking precipice. I don't fucking know. Do something, dude. But then he would have won, and I don't know. But Rey comes more in touch with the Force and just completely destroys Kylo Ren. She's about to kill him, but another fissure separates them, so she just runs off and to find Finn, who looks like he's dead, but thankfully he isn't, because I would have been really pissed off if they killed the black guy in this movie. But Finn's still alive. He's in a coma, but he's alive. Rey and Chewie bring him, go back to the Resistance hideout. Give Finn some medical attention. Rey and Leia hug because Han's fucking dead. That's depressing. And then I don't know why. Earlier in the movie when Han and Finn and Chewie first came to the Resistance hideout, BB-8 actually pulled off covering R2-D2 and sort of tries to get him to wake up, and C-3PO explains that after Luke left, C-3PO went into standby. I think it's to try and find information on how to actually find Luke. I don't know. But he's been out of commission for years, and when the Starkiller planet blows up and everyone comes back home. One thing that is kind of interesting, but I think actually does make a little bit of sense, is after the Starkiller planet blows up, it becomes a new sun, which, like I said, it makes sense, I guess, but it doesn't really make sense that that all the X-Wings and the Millennium Falcon were able to escape its gravitational pull, but it's a movie. It doesn't have physics. Take physics with a grain of salt in a movie like this. That's all I'm saying. But after everyone comes back, like R2-D2 just turns on. He just turns on. I don't like. It's like there's dramatic convenience, and then there's just pulling shit out of your ass. But lo and behold, R2 is back online, and he has the completed map of where to find Luke. Because of course he does. So they know where to find Luke, and Rey and Chewie actually take the Millennium Falcon to the planet that Luke is on, and honestly, I think Rey was born there or something, or has some connection to it, because when Kylo Ren was reading her mind, he mentioned an island and an ocean and her parents and shit like that, and the planet that Luke is on is mostly water, and he's on an island. So, like, I don't know. Maybe Rey is Luke's daughter? I don't know. I doubt it. I actually thought that for a while. I actually thought that Rey was Kylo Ren's sister, because I'm assuming she's just really has a really strong connection to the Force. She isn't actually a Skywalker or anything like that, but Like, you can never really tell with shit like this. I think it would be interesting if they had another family members fighting on opposite sides of the Force thing. You know, like, um, Kylo Ren is Rey's cousin, and they have to fight. I think it would actually be like one of the Star Wars expanded universe novels that Disney jettisoned when they decided to make Episode 7, where it was Han and Leia's daughter was a Jedi and their son was a Sith, just like this, and like they had to fight each other and everything like that. But whatever. But yeah, that's basically how it ends. It ends with Rey finding Luke on this water world, I guess. Right. Rey finds Luke on this water world, just in his exile, and he has a beard and he actually kind of looks pretty badass. And that's where the movie ends. Rey hands out his lightsaber to her, and he just kind of looks at her, and that's how the movie ends. Didn't end strong. Like, just that one scene seems kind of weird and awkward, and I'm not sure what they were thinking when they did that, but yeah, that's The Force Awakens. It's a good movie. It's a really damn good movie. I was actually kind of surprised at how much the old heroes actually had to do and how important they were to the overall story. A lot of people were really curious about how much Luke and Han and Leia would have actually had to do with this story, and it looks like they're going to be a pretty Luke and Leia at least are going to be major fixtures in at least the next one. I don't know if the third one they're going to be as important, but Han was a major character in this, and he was great throughout the entire thing. Leia was also really awesome in this. She was a really great character. I really liked how her character developed into this old war general and shit. And we don't see much of Luke, unfortunately, because he only really shows up in the last 20 seconds, I'm going to say. But it seems like he's going to be a major fixture in the next one, at least. And this is why I say it seems like Episode 8 is going to be just like Force Awakens was New Hope 2.0. Episode 8 is going to be Empire Strikes Back 2.0, because I mean, you have the young, inexperienced Jedi training with one of the greatest Jedi of all time on a deserted planet while he's in exile. It's basically Luke training with Yoda again. Except I doubt Rey's going to be heffing Luke around on the backpack. That'd be funny to see, but I doubt it'll happen. But I really do hope that that Episode 8 is a bit more original. It does more different new things than this one did. Like I said, this is still a really good movie, but it was treading too much old ground. I want, when we see a new addition to an old franchise, we want to see new things. We want to see new worlds. We want to see new planets. It really does seem like we were just going to the same places in this movie that we were in the original trilogy. Juka, or wherever Rey's home planet was basically Tatooine. Not Mos Eisley was basically not Mos Eisley. The Starkiller planet was basically the moon of Endor, except in winter. Really, the fight on the Starkiller planet was the most original thing in the entire fucking movie. Because you did have as far as I know, that was the first time you've ever seen a non-Jedi fight a Jedi with it. Well, no, Boba Fett fought with lightsabers too. In a movie. It's the first time in one of these movies that you've seen enough. Okay, so apparently I'm a fucking idiot. I finished the fucking review only to realize I didn't have the camera rolling. So I just, at least 20 minutes of me talking to a camera that wasn't working. I'm so. I have an hour long limit on how long I can record with this software, and it ran out, and I thought I had hit record again, but apparently I fucking didn't. So here we are again. Alright, so this is the first time in a movie that we've ever seen a non-Jedi fight a Jedi with a lightsaber, even though it was completely one-sided. Fuck, I actually, like I said, it was like at least 15 minutes since it stopped recording, so my stream of consciousness is completely wrong. I might be talking about something I already did. Alright, so next week we blew up the Starkiller planet. Kylo Ren killed Han. Finn is fighting Kylo Ren and get its ass kicked. No, wait, I already went over this. I'm talking about what new I wanted to see, what new things I wanted to see, and how this is really retreading old ground and shit. And it is. I wanted episode 7 to have more new stuff in it instead of just sort of rehashing New Hope, and I really hope that episode 8 does that, actually shows new things and has a better story, even though it really does seem like it is just going to sort of rehash Empire a little bit, especially considering it's going to have the young newly minted Jedi Knight, Jedi Apprentice, being taught by the old Master Jedi. It's going to be Luke and Yoda on Dagobah all over again. I just know it, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Like, I'm sure it's going to be really awesome seeing Luke training this new Jedi, but it's not new, you know? Like, when you see a movie franchise growing like this, you want to see new shit. You want to see new things. You want to see all new. And just making sure it's actually recording this time. You actually want to see, like, you know, but I can't complain too much. Like, we have a new Star Wars for a new generation. New kids are gonna be growing up with these 3 movies. Like my cousins got a bunch of Star Wars toys for Christmas this year, and I think it's kind of cool that they're actually going to be able to grow up with this new version of this old phenomenon. I was too young to see the original trilogy, and all I really had to grow up on was the prequels, which, honestly, even as a kid, I realized that Phantom Menace was shit. I thought it was really boring, and I didn't like it, and actually for a while, I thought that all the Star Wars movies were like Phantom Menace, and I didn't understand why people liked it so much, and it really confused me until I actually did manage to see the original 3 movies and realize how just fucking amazing they were. And I think it's great that Force Awakens is so good, and is helmed by a director that's actually kind of competent, because Lucas kind of dropped the ball for a while there, but we have this new movie and we have this new generation being brought up on Star Wars, and it's just so cool. And that's it. That's Star Wars. And I actually did, when I thought I was recording earlier, I went over the trailers and all the stuff they had, and well, basically what it is the first well, not the first trailer I saw, but the first one I thought of was X-Men Apocalypse. I didn't do a discussion, video discussion on the trailer for X-Men Apocalypse because honestly, I'm probably not gonna watch X-Men Apocalypse. I'm kind of burnt out on X-Men right now. I don't read the book. I don't read the books. I still like the cartoons for the most part, but like I don't think there's a new X-Men cartoon coming out now. But if it is, honestly, I doubt I'd watch it. It's just like like okay, so the first one was okay. Like if you're really going to be honest, the first X-Men movie wasn't great. It was watchable. I can see that at least. The second one was good. I will say that. It was genuinely enjoyable. The third one was shit. And then we had X-Men Origins Wolverine, which I think we'd all like to forget. Then we had First Class, which I like personally, but it did kind of fuck the continuity up the ass. The Wolverine I actually just recently watched, and it's good, but it has problems. Like it's watchable. I can't deny that. It is. I'd say it's slightly worse than the first X-Men movie, if I'm being honest. And I never saw Days of Future Past, and honestly, I don't plan to. I'm really kind of burnt out on X-Men right now. I doubt I'll see X-Men Apocalypse. It looks cool. Apocalypse himself looks cool. And it has Jubilee, which I'm personally a really big Jubilee fan, but like even she isn't enough to get me to watch this movie. Another one was Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, which I've already talked about to length, so I'm not even going to start here. One movie I was actually kind of surprised with was Zootopolis, or whatever the hell it's called. I've heard of this movie, but I've never really seen anything from it. I really didn't have that much of a high hope for it because it's just another talking animal movie. We have countless number of those, but I honestly I don't think I really should have given. I should have given Disney a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt because the scene, from what I can gather, it's about a little bunny cop, and she's like doing something, I don't know. The scene actually has her trying to find a license plate with this fox who I think is a detective, I don't know. And they go to the DMV to get the license plate run by this character the fox knows named Flash. And they go to the DMV and it's all sloths. And the DMV is, everyone who works at the DMV is a sloth. And they have really slow reaction time, and you can tell the fox is just fucking with the rabbit because she's in such a rush to get the information that she needs, and the sloth is so slow, and the fox decides to tell the fucking sloth a joke just to slow things down even more. The fox is an asshole. Like, it's a really funny scene, and I think it really shows the amount of faith that the filmmakers have in this movie that they can show a scene that funny. Like, everyone in the theater was cracking up during this trailer, that they can show a scene that funny and feel like they haven't shown their best material. So I'm probably gonna see Zootopolis, if not in the theater, at least on DVD or something like that. I'm really interested in this movie now. Another movie that I saw that I actually didn't know about was called Fifth Wave. It's another one of these young adult fiction movies, and I have my own thing with young adult fiction, but I think they're making too many of these. Like, they just keep cranking them out over and over again. I get it because of how popular the Harry Potter series is and how inexplicably popular. Well, not inexplicably. I know why the Twilight Circle was popular, but it's just such a bad series of movies. I'm assuming the books are bad too because I've heard they were bad, but like, I have my own thing with young adult fiction, but I can't deny that it's getting young people to read more, and that's always good. Like, some 15-year-old girl will go see this movie, think it's cool, even though it's probably gonna be awful. No, figure out that it's based on a series of books. Go out and read the books, and you have more kids reading. It's good. For a minute, I actually thought this was gonna be the trailer to the new Independence Day movie that's coming out. I've never actually seen that trailer before, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm even gonna see Independence Day or not. But I kind of figured out about halfway that this probably wasn't gonna be Independence Day because it was focusing so much on this one teenage girl. But whatever. One I actually did kind of forget during my first botched recording was Captain America: Civil War. I didn't talk about that either in a vlog because I don't know why I didn't talk about that, but Captain America: Civil War, it does look really awesome. I'm actually not sure what to say about this. Bucky is. I never saw Winter Soldier. I always meant to. I just never got around to it. So I know that I guess they have. Thanks to actually the ending of Ant-Man, I know that that Cap and Falcon had Bucky in a basement or something like that. I guess trying to wean him off off his Winter Soldier conditioning or whatever. But apparently someone figured out about it, and sent a shit ton of guys to go and kill Bucky. And Cap decides, no, you're not gonna kill my friend, and then Civil War breaks out. I think I really don't really have an opinion on this. I never read the Civil War book either, so I'm not sure if this is gonna have anything to do with the whole Superhuman Registration Act, or if it is just Cap trying to protect his friend, and and Tony siding with Shield and thinking they have to take Bucky out because he's still because as far as they're concerned, he's still Winter Soldier. It's like, I'm gonna watch it obviously, but don't really have that much of an opinion on it. Right. Gods of Egypt. I actually went off on a really big tangent on that, and I'm trying to see if I can remember enough of it, because this is a movie that I'm mad at, but not so much. It's like here's the thing: Gods of Egypt is probably gonna suck. Like that's just me calling it as it is. Clash. It seems very Clash and Wrath of the Titans-ish, and they weren't very good movies either. So, like, it looks interesting. It looks really really good, but it's called Gods of Egypt, and the Gods of Egypt look really fucking white to me. Like the big bad, like, it's kind of retelling the story of Osiris, and if you don't know that, in the original mythology, Set, the Egyptian god of the desert and chaos and evil and shit like that, killed his brother Osiris and cut him up into 13 pieces and scattered the 13 pieces around the world. It was up to Osiris's wife Isis to find each piece and put Osiris back together, but she could never find the 13th piece, and so Osiris became the god of the underworld, since he could never be fully resurrected. They're kind of doing that, except not. First of all, Gerard Butler plays Set, who is distinctly not Egyptian. So, and I think there's going to be massive backlash with this movie, because it's called Gods of Egypt, and at least as far as I've seen, all the actors are white. Like there's that. And for me personally, it is the fact that they aren't following the mythology closely enough for me. I guess instead of killing Osiris and chopping him up into 13 pieces, Set just rips out his eyes, and I think that kills him or something. I don't know. But also, one thing that is really bizarre and really kind of irksome is the fact that in the myth, Isis is the one who tries to restore Osiris back to life. But in this, it's just some guy. Like, it's just some random dude. Like, he isn't a god, he's just some dude that I think Isis actually tells him to go and find Osiris's eyes. Like, I think it's Osiris. I'm honestly not sure. I'd assume it is. But yeah, that's like, they're fucking up the myth for one, and also it's just, why have this random guy be the one to bring Osiris back? Why not have Isis? You know, like, why not have a story about a woman trying to bring her husband, who is also her brother, because that's how gods roll, back to life? That's like, instead of just having this random guy show up, like, okay, I could save my husband, but no, I think I'm just gonna let this guy do it for me. I don't know. But, like I said, like, this movie's probably gonna suck, but I think it's gonna get a lot of attention for all the wrong reasons. Like, first of all, the whole race bending thing is always a big deal, but it's kind of small potatoes for me. I really don't think it matters entirely what the race of an actor is or isn't in a given story. Like Last Airbender, the fact that Katara and Sokka weren't played by Inuit actors is the least thing wrong with that movie, in my opinion. So, like, it's never really been that big of a deal for me personally. If you get the right actor to play the right role, it really shouldn't matter what race he is. Honestly, real talk, if they reveal for whatever reason that Chitala in Civil War is played by a white guy, as long as he does a good job, I really wouldn't care. But really, it is just the fact that they changed the myth to something just that much, and the fact that Isis isn't the hero of the story. Those are the two most irksome things to me, because I'm actually a huge mythology geek, and it really pisses me off whenever they change the source material like that. But whatever. So yeah, that's Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Awesome movie. I suggest you go see it. If you haven't seen it, go see it, and if you have seen it, see it again. Just, yeah. I'm on No Mercy. I'll see y'all later.